All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Great to have you with us. This is the Todd Stearns Radio Show. Happy to have you with us today. I want you to write down our telephone number. You will need this if you plan on calling in. 901-260-5926 is our number. That's 901-260-5926. Dylan and I have senioritis. You know, we announced, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, getting ready to stop doing the Newsmax show. And I got to tell you, I am looking forward to having my afternoons back.
I bet you are.
I didn't realize how long of a day that was.
I mean, you already wake up early as it is, and now you're going to bed late at night.
My cardiologist is very happy with this news. Yeah. He said I needed to slow down just a smidge, So we're still going to be doing stuff with Newsmax, but we're wrapping up. I think it's another week. So anyway, it's we've had a lot of fun with it. But I got to tell you, I love the radio show, and honestly, Dylan, I will say that our video on the video that we do for the radio show is network quality.
I'd say so. Props to E and the intern.
Yes,
doing a great job,
an excellent job. So anyway, it's going to be, all that to say, it's going to be nice to get out and 3:00 Eastern. You got the rest of the day ahead of you, so it's going to be sort of nice. Again, 901-260-5926, our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. A lot of stories. President Trump addressing the nation tonight. This is going to be a long day for the reporter crowd, a long day. And the president, 9:00 Eastern time, will be addressing the nation. And we're getting some drips and drabs of what that might be. We understand that the president is probably going to be saying something about proof they have that a foreign country, more than likely China, meddled in the 2020 presidential election. Now, I just have a question for you all. Do you think that is this still a big issue for you? Are you still, when it comes to what happened in 2020, is that still an issue that matters to you? And the reason why I ask that is because no matter what the president says tonight, the reality is there's really not much that can be done to change what has happened since that election. And I'm going to go through that with you because, again, I know there are some, there are some people out there in the in Podcastistan, and they're trying to tell you that, well, we're going to be able to undo the election results. We'll be able to reinstate President Trump retroactively. All of the policies and things that were passed or all of the things that were advanced by the Biden administration would be undone. And that is, it's just not true. So I'm going to break down exactly what could happen if the president is able to come out and say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, we have proof that the Chinese meddled in the election. Now, CBS News says the president is expected to discuss other issues as well as the Chinese meddling. One of the allegations is that Beijing actually compromised voter data. And there's also evidence the CIA knew about all of this and did not share that information with the president during his first term in office. And we understand that a number of high-ranking administration officials will be a part of the president's address. Of course, Caroline Levitt is saying, these are all anonymous sources speculating, and, you got to tune in to see what the president's going to say. Now, the president earlier this week disclosed a few details. The president has long insisted the 2020 election was stolen from him due to rampant fraud. And the question of Chinese involvement has been one of those mysterious questions. Again, this is from the CBS News reporting. So anyway, what happens? Let's just say the president, he's got China dead to rights. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Chinese actually did the dirty deed, that the Chinese fixed the elections, they rigged the elections for Joe Biden. So let's just assume that's all true. The question is there any recourse? What can Trump do about that? So first of all, you're not going to rerun the 2020 election. That's over and done with. Once Congress counted the electoral votes, once the term was served, the 4-year term, it's over. There's no going back for a do-over. And there's also no mechanism within our founding documents, within the U.S. Constitution, that would allow President Trump to be retroactively installed. Can't do that. But here's what you can do, and this is where it'll get interesting. I mean, there could be criminal prosecutions. That's one possibility. And if there was voter fraud, forgery, conspiracy, and you've got the goods on these people, they can be arrested. They can be sent to prison for the rest of their lives. You can also sue, by the way. I mean, there could be individuals, and if you were harmed, maybe your business was harmed by illegal conduct, and that illegal conduct being the Biden administration, then you could sue. Now, the other part of this, and I think this is where Trump is probably going tonight, is the legislative remedies here. And there's only one. It is the Save America Act. And the president is pretty infuriated that the Republicans in the Senate have not been able to get this through. I mean, it's just incredibly frustrating. And I get it. I feel bad for the president. But the fact of the matter is that the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, is a never Trumper. Always has been. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of where we're at right now. And I think that's ultimately where Trump is going with all of this. But again, you've got a lot of other big problems in this country right now. And by the way, chief among them is Iran. And I tried to warn you folks. I said, look at the clock and these MOUs. And it's now interesting because anybody coming out this memorandum of understanding that J.D. Vance concocted, well, it's not working. And anybody who actually said what I just said gets attacked by people who say, oh, well, you're just a never Trumper. No, that's not it at all. The fact of the matter is the Iranians are still shooting at us. And they're shooting at the boats and the ships in the Strait of Hormuz. There is no ceasefire. So this is going to be an issue we're going to have to deal with during the campaign cycle. Are prices coming down? I mean, I've noticed gas prices where I live are on the way down. Grocery store prices, they are not. And a lot of people, and we had a report earlier, that people are having to use their credit cards now, which used to be for emergencies only, but they're having to use their credit cards to buy groceries. You're not hearing the administration addressing those concerns. And those trust me, those pocketbook issues will come back and bite the administration in the behind if they are not careful. 901-260-5926 is our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. Dylan, the story that we shared with the nation yesterday about the Memphis pizza joint Tamboli's sort of went viral.
I'd say at least viral.
You know, here's what gets me about this, and I see this all the time. One of the people on one of the conservative networks actually stole our content. All these people stealing our content. This was a story that was original for us. It was an exclusive, and you got all these folks that are out there stealing it now.
You know, it's funny. Several people brought it up to me yesterday, and I was the first person to say, well, Todd Starnes, came out with that first, right? And they're like, oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not giving you credit.
Yeah, I'm not going to call them out. It's just kind of a sleazy thing to do. And by the way, it happens all the time. All the time. We're putting out the content, and then they steal it, and they're grifters. And that's one of the reasons why when, we share a story, we tell you where it came from and who wrote the story. We want to be able to honor that person. So anyway, we've got an update on that story that went viral. The Tamboli's, which is a Memphis pizza joint, owned by a far leftist, and he told his staff no National Guard troops can eat here. You're not allowed to eat here if you are in the National Guard or you're a part of this Memphis Safe Task Force. And so they have been deluged. It was you folks lit up the phones. I know it was you because we were the only people telling folks, call the restaurant. They had to shut down their phone system. There were so many people calling in, so many people sending emails. And so anyway, they said one of the local TV stations went out and interviewed the guy. His name is Miles Tomboli. And it turns out that he's doubling down. He says, absolutely, I stand by everything we did. And he's not apologizing. He's not doing anything. But he said that he will not be deterred from his beliefs. And we've got the story, the full statement over at toddstearns.com. And I would urge you to get over there and read the story. It's just bizarre. I mean, why would you basically put your entire business at risk? It makes absolutely no sense to me. But anyway, the guy is standing by what he said. And Congressman Tim Burchett said, who lives over in East Tennessee, said that he would drive all the way to Memphis not to eat at the restaurant. I love that. Love that. So anyway, a lot of people are admiring this guy now. They're saying that he's a man of principle, and that's important. And so he's getting some accolades. Many others are calling for a boycott. I don't know. We shall see. Let's go to the phones real quick. Georgia, WDUN. Did I get your name correct? Scott, my apologies. Scott,
okay.
Scott, what's going on?
Well, I listen to you about every day from WDUN here in Gainesville, and I even listened to you while you were here for a brief period. And I just heard you announce that you were going to stop Newsmax. And I want to say congratulations. And the reason I say that is we lost Martha Zollard several weeks ago, and she announced that she was going to retire on Friday, but she passed away the Monday before Friday, and her physician had told her to slow down. And she started campaigning for Rick Jackson in Georgia, but she would tell that. But I think she dropped one and picked up another one or two on the side. So I'd like to listen to you for another 15, 20 years. I'm 70, so I'm hoping we're both around. And I encourage you to go home at 3 o'clock, walk the dog, turn the news off, don't do any podcasts. Just take it easy. Because she was saying the other day that you had complications similar to Senator Lindsey Graham, and I have some issues in my heart, and sometimes we think we know what we know, but I'm encouraging you to go home, please, and just chill, please.
Scott, no, I hear you, and that just means so much. What you just shared, and really, it was the staff and the team, and they're saying, Todd, you gotta ease up. And I'm a workaholic. I admit it. I love work. I love being active. But you're right. I've got to have that downtime. And ironically, I really started thinking about this when I was in the hospital, and I had everything turned off, and I was so relaxed. I just there was all the blood pressure and everything was fine. So I think this is going to be a good thing, and it will allow us to focus more on what we're doing on the radio show. But more importantly, to your point, Scott, you got to take care of yourself. And, I say that all the time, and yet I'm not listening to my own advice. So anyway, we love the folks at Newsmax, but I love life and breathing even more. And so I got to get out there, and we're going to have a good time.
You said that one of the staff members made you go to the hospital, and had that member not been there, and that was a thing from God. Had he not been there, you and I would not be having this conversation right now.
That thought does not. Yes, you're absolutely right, and I do think about those things. I remember what Senator Tommy Tuberville said about Lindsey Graham, that he basically worked himself to death. And you don't want to live your life like that. You may think you want to, but you really don't. And so you got to just figure out what is the most important thing, for you, prioritize those things. And then the stuff that really maybe doesn't matter at the end of the day, you just don't do. And that's what we've decided to do here. Scott, I have got to go run for a break, but I sure do appreciate your kind words, and thank you for listening to WDUN. All right, our number, 901-260-5926. That's 901-260-5926. This is The Todd Starnes Show. All right, welcome back to the Todd Starnes Radio Show. Interesting story out of Florida. A 76-year-old woman really upset at the DMV over her brand new license plate. Take a listen to Cut 31, please.
There are people who ask for funny license plates, and then there's this nice lady. The state of Florida sent these tags to Nancy Delestrito, who is almost 77 and lives in a senior community in Pompano Beach. Here's her initial reaction.
Really? Really? No, DMV, no.
The plates read SQZ-A55 with a juicy Florida orange there in the middle. But some people, including Nancy and a lot of the older men in her neighborhood, think it spells out something else. I think you can guess. At first, she was pretty mad about it.
I went ballistic. And I said, I can't even believe how this could pass through inspection. I assume there's an inspection.
The plates are legit, however, part of an automatic 10-year renewal stamped out at a state prison in North Florida, and she can get them exchanged. But she's starting to come around to the idea of keeping them on her Hyundai Sonata.
I can handle it if I get a few honks here and there. Actually, being over 70, I might like a few honks. Okay?
Okay. Nancy told our friends at CBS Miami she's been asking people what they think, and by a wide margin, 26-1, they say, keep the plates and enjoy the laughs.
Yeah, so anyway, it's not one orange, it's two plump, juicy oranges, and the words squeeze ass. That's why Grandma's a little unnerved. What do you think she ought to do? Should she keep the license plates and enjoy the honks?
Absolutely. She has to keep them.
You got to.
Who cares? That's a funny license plate.
It's pretty darn funny. SQZ plump oranges A55. Well done, Grandma. So there you have it. Grandma's sons and her 89-year-old neighbor say keep the plates. What would you tell Grandma? 901-260-5926. This is the Todd Starnes Show. And welcome back, everybody. It's the Todd Stearns Radio Show. This story out of CNBC, getting a lot of play. CNBC listing America's worst states to live in. And most of them were in the South. And it's really ironic because many of these states are seeing the largest population booms in the country. Republican leaders, this coming from Fox News. Joshua Q. Nelson is the writer. Republicans are firing back at CNBC after the financial news outlet released its annual quality of life rankings, placing conservative red states in all the bottom 10 spots on the list, even as official census data shows those very states are leading the nation in population growth. CNBC faced a wave of online mockery and conservative backlash following the release of its America's Top States for Business. Critics quickly took to social media to call out CNBC, alleging liberal bias. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders of Arkansas says somebody must have forgotten to tell the tens of thousands of New Arkansans who have moved to our state in the last few years about this CNBC report, because they're voting with their feet and voting overwhelmingly for the common sense conservative leadership Arkansas offers. You know, that's true. I love my time living. I lived in New York City for 15 years, lived in Brooklyn, New York, and it was a great time. Loved it. Had great neighbors, great shops and businesses. But I got to tell you, Other than that, the politics in New York City make it unlivable and unbearable now. I lived there under Michael Bloomberg and then Comrade de Blasio. And it got progressively worse. And when you look at the taxes and the cost of living in a place like New York City, why in the world would anybody subject themselves to that? I want to read this. This is counting down from the 10 worst quality of life rankings. The bottom 10, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Missouri, Utah, Georgia, Louisiana, Indiana, Texas, and Tennessee. All 10 states are Republican-led and voted for President Donald J. Trump in 2024. So I'm curious your thoughts here on the CNBC reporting. Governor Greg Abbott's press secretary, Andrew Malaris, said CNBC's ranking is flawed and does not reflect reality. But may I just say something here? I don't think we ought to be pushing back that much. And here's the reason why. And you folks in North Carolina and Virginia, you know what I'm talking about here. You guys had beautiful states, beautiful people, great food, great culture, all that kind of stuff. And then all the Yankees started moving in, and they brought their politics with them. And now you have beautiful red states like North Carolina and Virginia. One of them's gone blue, the other's gone purple. And the problem is the liberals are bringing their politics with them, which is insane. Why would you do that? By the way, it's happening right now in Texas. I'm telling you, we need to put up we're full. We need to put up big signs at the Welcome Center saying, keep on driving. Don't stop here. There is a great piece of audio that's circulating on Instagram, and it's a lady who's doing, I guess, her walk through her neighborhood, and she's done with CNBC. Here's what she had to say.
You see, down south, we don't deal with all that tomfoolery that y'all dealing with over there in New York City or California or Maine or Minnesota. You know, all you woke states. We don't deal with that. You see, round these parts, we believe in God, guns, and butter, and in that order. God, and his name is Jesus Christ. Let's not be confused. Pretty much all of us are conceal and carry. There will be no entering into every household in America, that part, and catch it. And we love to eat, so we put butter on everything. And I mean everything, that part. And I did not mention it, but let me be very, very clear. God guns butter, but also we are very, very common sense and patriotic. See, unlike the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, we know what a woman is, that part. And there will be American flags flying in everybody's yard, okay? So if you have a problem with that, you may not want to move down south. Yes, the homes are cheaper, but they look just as good as those high homes y'all paying for up north. And on the east and west coast, that part, we're comfortable, classy. All the white boys in the Cajun Navy is our friends, that part. You see, when the tornadoes and hurricanes happen, they come on through. And they don't care what color the hand is that they helping, that part. Our men are not emasculated, at least not around these parts they ain't. And chivalry, sure enough, not dead. And last but not least, we believe in keeping our babies around here, okay? So I lie to your Akbar over there. You will not be entering into every household in America. And all that yelling and screaming in pro-lifers' face around these parts don't work. You feel me? Because we hit back, that part. God bless. Welcome to the South.
Yeah, I like this lady. Dylan, I can't think of a single thing she got wrong there.
No, that sums it up pretty much. Yeah. If you come to the South, that's what you'll see. And you'll get
And a lot of butter.
a lot of butter.
She's not lying there.
We don't do the margarine. Like, I don't like that.
Or
That's
that,
fake.
what is the, I can't believe it's not butter?
Yeah, and it's
I
not.
can.
I can. Yeah, I really can. I can taste it.
God, and his name is Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, she also said that the Southern men are not emasculated.
Yeah.
This is a fair point, especially when you see what's coming out of the northern states these days and
It's
California in general.
It is very rough seeing some of the so-called men that are up north.
Oh, I know. And you can tell, too, when a California guy moves into like a neighborhood in Texas, hello, boys, we're here. And they're looking for the avocado toast and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we just don't do that here in the South.
Todd, I do like avocado toast, but I am a man. I am a real man.
But, well, there you go. So, but
It's not what I search out for, but I will eat it if it's in front of me.
I like that lady. Wow, she was walking fast, too. She wasn't out of breath or anything either. That was impressive.
Got the
what
dog
she
with
did.
her, it sounded like.
Yeah, I love that. So all that to say, okay, if if you don't like those things, then don't move down south. The other part of that problem is that you've got people moving down to the south, and there are many people now who have their own little goats and chickens and whatnot, and you've got Yankees moving into the southern states, and they're filing complaints at City Hall because their neighbors have a rooster or the neighbors have chickens. You got to deal with that. If you can't handle livestock, you need to head right back across the Mason-Dixon line. 901-260-5926 is our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. And this segment of the Todd Stern Show brought to you by our friends at Newsmax. President Trump is absolutely right. Millions of Americans are switching to Newsmax, and they're watching some incredible shows with Greta, Carl Higbee, Rob Schmidt, Rob Finnerty, many more. If you're tired of big media, start watching Newsmax. It's free to start. Go to newsmaxplus.com. That's newsmaxplus.com. Get all of President Trump's most important events live. And you're going to be able to get some incredible documentaries, too, on Melania Trump, Charlie Kirk, Mike Huckabee's Israel special. Once you start Newsmax Plus, you will not stop. Try it for free. Go to newsmaxplus.com, then download the app. It is super easy. Make the switch to Newsmax Plus today. All right, welcome back. This is the Todd Stearns Radio Show. Come on, Fox News, do better. So Fox News stole our story on the Memphis pizza joint. No attribution at all, and it is one of their it's one of their top stories. And again, it's just it's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. A lot of people, they listen to this show and they take our content, mainly because it's good content, and number two, it's always vetted content. So maybe we should wear that, I guess, maybe as a badge of honor that people keep stealing our stuff. But it would be very nice if you folks out there would just give us attribution. 901-260-5926. That's 901-260-5926. Let's go to the phone lines. Say hello to Charles in North Carolina, WSIC, our great affiliate out there. Hi, Charles. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, Todd. So getting back to Trump's speech tonight, it is the 2020 election and getting to the bottom of election interference and irregularities is still an issue for me, because if we don't get to the bottom of it, it's going to happen again. And I see that coming up in the midterms. And so what I'd like to see the president do tonight, Todd, is I'd like him to lay out all the evidence that he has. Just tell the American people the truth. We can handle it, lay it all out there. And when he lays it out there, I think he should take the opportunity to declare a national security emergency and implement measures to safeguard our elections. Now, Todd, a national security authorization is different than an executive order, because it can't be challenged in court and it can't be challenged in Congress because of the law that was passed in 1983. So I suspect and I hope to God that that's what he's going to do, because if there's irregularities and cheating by any form, whether it's illegal aliens voting, whether it's foreign interference, whether it's whatever, and the Democrats get back in power, it's going to be hell for President Trump. And his agenda is going to go nowhere. It's going to be impeachments. It's going to be lawfare. And once they get back in power, Todd, I don't think they're ever going to relinquish power.
Charles, when you say declare a national emergency, what do you want the president to do at that point?
Well, so what I'd like him to do is to implement what's in the SAVE Act, to say, hey, there's a national emergency. Because of that, in order to safeguard the elections, we're going to require that voters show proof of ID. They're going to have to show proof of citizenship when they register to vote. We're going to have ICE agents, or we're going to have, law enforcement at certain polling locations in areas that are suspect and have a history of fraud. We're going to, be extra monitoring of these foreign countries and how they could possibly hack into, election systems throughout the country. I think he needs to get specific, and I think he needs to do that, because, Todd, right now, as much as I want it to pass, I don't think the SAVE Act is going to pass because of John Thune in the Senate. And even if it does pass, even though they tucked it away in this NDAA, you could always have that Senate parliamentarian say that that's unconstitutional and strike it out, and then we're left with nothing. So that's what I'd like to see him do.
Charles, we'll see what the president does here. Here's my concern. I don't think we just need another speech tonight. We need action, and we need the president he needs to do something, because we've heard these things before, and now we need some action. And this, to your point, this could be one of those action points if he declares a national emergency. But we've got to secure the ballot box. And I just have grave fears. If the economy is not doing well and we have low turnout among Republicans, it could get pretty dicey out there. And the margins are too small for us to have any mistakes or to have lethargy within the Republican ranks. So Charles, thank you for that call. 901-260-5926, our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. Dylan and I have an update on a story from Yellowstone. You saw the video of the grandpa that got manhandled by the bison.
Yes. Launched 8 feet in the air.
Mm-hmm. The grandpa's going to be okay, but he broke multiple bones, and he had to have surgery. But he's going to be fine.
Good.
He's in good spirits. So here's the reporting from TMZ. It turns out they were actually going to consider killing the bison.
Wow.
The bison, again, this is from Fox News, the bison that seriously injured a man in the viral attack last week will not be euthanized. Park officials confirmed the wild animal will remain in the park despite the shocking encounter. Well, I think the bison needs to hold a press conference here and just say, hey, I thought my life was in danger.
Well, you could be like, well, I thought this was my house. Like, you guys were on my property.
Well, of course. I'm taking the side of the animal here.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to, even as a tourist, you're not supposed to really even get close to the animals.
No.
So it's really the guy's fault.
And here's the thing. If you see a bison doing that where he's like, getting all charged up and he's frothing at the mouth. Yeah.
Don't pull out your phone.
You got to get out of there. That's what they were doing. They were filming it.
Yeah, no, it's 100% on his fault, not the bison.
It's kind of like, this is why I don't like going to the beach. Because when you go into the ocean, you're going to get eaten by a shark.
Yes.
And here's the thing. It's not the shark's fault. You're literally walking into the shark's front yard, right?
I 100% agree with you. I mean, Jaws obviously, terrified most Americans, but like, I don't even try to go into far in the ocean. Like, if you know how it gets more blue the farther you go out, I don't ever reach a more blue area in the ocean.
No,
ever.
not at all. You look, if I can't see the bottom, I'm not getting in.
Yep.
And
Right
then you've got to be on the lookout because you've got have you seen the videos of like those little worm creatures coming up out of the sand?
Yeah.
What the heck is that all about?
Or like a one of those like sharp, I don't even know what it's called. It's like someone will probably know, but it's like a sharp clawed, maybe a crab or something that they just live in the sand beach, like, and you step on it and then your foot's punctured.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Just
keep me
put me in the
poolside.
mountains.
I mean, I'm glad the grandpa is going to be okay here, but when you put yourself, again, we said this yesterday, when you go to Yellowstone, you're basically going to a zoo without the barricades.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like on safari.
And they do the same thing with the bears, and it makes no sense. If you see a bear at Yellowstone, don't get out of your car to go look at it.
They say the bull they're basically trying to portray this as like a thug, a thug bison.
Free my boy. Let him out.
Free my boy. The bull had already charged a group of teenagers before grandpa and his grandson. I thought that was the granddaughter. Got to cut that hair, young man. Got to cut that hair. Anyway, they unknowingly encountered the bison while walking through the camera. No, I don't think they did. I mean, they were watching it.
No, they saw it and they drove over to it. I guarantee you.
Of course they did. My question is, why didn't the guy in the pickup truck tell Grandpa, hey, hop in the back?
Off.
He was like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. So anyway, whose side are you on here, ladies and gentlemen? I'm just shocked they were actually considering killing the bison for doing what bison do. All right, 901-260-5926, our telephone number. This is the Todd Starnes Radio Show. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to hour 2 of the big show. Great to have you with us today. Our telephone number, 901-260-5926. That's 901-260-5926. So a couple of stories. Before we get to that, I've got to share this story from the TSA. There was an interesting story involving one of these soccer stars. You know, we got all the foreigners running around America, and we're glad that these are all nice folks. They're saying nice things about America, and one of them is a Norwegian. Did they lose? Or are they out of the who's in the final? What are the, is it like the final 4?
Spain and Argentina are the last 2, I believe.
Oh, are those the last 2?
That's it.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, I
Norway
know
did lose. Yes.
Norway lost.
Yes.
All right. So, and when is the championship?
Okay, I misspoke. So France and England are in the semifinals, and then Sunday is going to be Spain and Argentina. So, they're in the semifinals.
So whoever wins those 2 will be in the championship.
Yes.
Is it just one game that decides the championship? Do you know?
I do not know.
I
do
don't
not
know
follow
anything about
soccer as much as I
I
should.
can't. No, I mean, I can't stand it. I don't know what the point is.
Well, kick a ball in the net.
Right. For 80
Camaraderie.
minutes? Is that how long? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Lots of good questions, Todd. I don't know.
Well, anyway, there's a guy from Norway. His name is Erling Haaland. And he spent his summer in the U.S. playing in the World Cup, and now he's returning home, 25 years old. The guy had a great time. He looks like one of these Norwegian Viking dudes, right? He's a big dude.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he was photographed getting off an airplane, and he had a raccoon with him. It was a taxidermy raccoon, so it's a dead raccoon. It's been stuffed, and the raccoon was holding an empty liquor bottle. So the soccer star was filmed getting off a plane in Oslo, and he said, "It followed me home," talking about the raccoon. And so anyway, according to the Today Show, the photo of him made it all the way back to the Transportation Security Administration, and they actually offered some thoughts on this. I'm thinking, this can't be good. The TSA says we're getting some questions about flying with taxidermy raccoons holding empty liquor bottles. It's okay with us, but please check with your airline first. Well, that's good to know. I mean, you don't want to show up at the airport and then realize, I should have checked the raccoon in the luggage.
Yeah, true.
So I actually appreciate TSA, making this clarification. Dylan, this is great. He also made a visit in Dallas, Texas to Wild Bill's Western Store, and the Norwegian posted a photograph of himself saying, "Y'all can kiss my Dallas." That's what the T-shirt says. He's wearing short shorts and cowboy boots and a cowboy hat.
Doesn't surprise me one bit. This guy, if you've been following him throughout the World Cup, he is such a meme, if you'll say. Like, he's been making so many different, like, people. It's so funny to watch him because he is, like, this big, like, awkward-looking guy. His haircut is, like, shaved on the sides, but he has a man bun. It's very accurate to what's happening right now.
So he's literally become like an online sensation among World Cup viewers, and he loves America. He says, unbelievably so nice. I'm coming back. People here are so nice. So positive, don't know what it is, but they're enjoying life. It's amazing. It's freedom. It'll do that to you.
That'll do it.
That'll do it to you. By the way, Wild Bill, they're huge fans because they're now having to ship internationally. So they're getting a lot of orders for cowboy boots and cowboy hats, and everybody loves. They've already gotten over 2,000 online orders.
Just when we thought ranch was the worst thing that we'd find, being taken home, This takes it up to a whole new level. They're getting our culture over there now.
I wonder where he bought that at.
He may have killed it himself. I wouldn't be surprised.
You never know. So anyway, enjoy America. Take home your souvenirs. Thank you, TSA, for actually, if this had been the Biden administration, they would have confiscated that raccoon.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they would have done. All right, 901-260-5926 is our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. I want to play some audio here. This is from Ann Coulter, who's back making news and headlines. And Ann Coulter's really upset at the Republicans and this Housing Act. And the reason why is because the Housing Act will bring Section 8 housing into your neighborhoods. I want you to listen to Cut 14, please.
Among some good things in the housing bill, like overturning stupid federal regulations that previous Congresses put in. Oh, there is a poison pill, an absolute disaster. It expands Section 8 housing. For any of you who live in a town with Section 8 housing, you're running to get your guns right now. Section 8 housing is this great idea by liberals that because they can't oppose things like welfare dependency or single motherhood, drug use, they don't even oppose crime. No, they will not punish criminal behavior. Instead, their solution to help poor Black people get ahead in the world is to move them to better zip codes. And that will be your zip code. Unless you're a very wealthy person, they will never move it to your town. This is going to destroy middle class and working class towns across America, as it has already begun to do. My number one example is Ferguson, Missouri. You remember Ferguson with Mike Brown, hands up, don't shoot. It turned out that whole thing was nonsense. The sainted Mike Brown emerged from Section 8 housing. All of his neighbors who lied and carried on about that cock and bull story that he got on his knees, put his hands up, don't shoot. Oh, no, he was charging. And even Eric Holder's Justice Department under Barack Obama found that Officer Darren Wilson had shot Brown in self-defense. But we had to go through 6 months of the neighbors just lying through their teeth. And this housing bill expands Section 8. Guess who's made millions of dollars off of Section 8 housing?
Yeah, Republicans. That's who. A lot of them. So I'm glad President Trump hasn't signed that housing bill because I don't know about you, but when you see Section 8 housing popping up in your neighborhood, crime is right around the corner. I mean, we have seen this over and over and over again. All right, let's go to the phones. 901-260-5926. Tom in Collierville, Tennessee, listening to us on KWAM. Hi, Tom. What's on your mind today?
Well, I'm glad Dylan finally mentioned it. I was going to ask you if you heard about the ranch dressing craze, where apparently they don't have ranch dressing in these other countries. But what's also is amazing is how they're here, and they're talking about the United States isn't quite like it's being depicted by the news sources in other countries. They're saying it's not as bad as it's being pronounced to us now that we're here. They're amazed at the size of our houses that we have here, the driving, the amount of traffic and stuff like that. But it's all been good and positive feedback. But I was really calling to ask you if you heard about the ranch dressing thing, but Dylan already hit on that.
Yeah. So, Tom, this is what's so great about it. And you're right. I mean, imagine these guys, and they're in their 20s. So all their life, they've been told that America is this dystopian society where, people are raping, pillaging, plundering. Minorities are getting strung up by nooses all over. And none of it was true. They come here and they're like, holy crap, this is a pretty great place.
Yeah, we really take a lot for granted, and I think we can learn a little bit of some of this to actually be a little more thankful for what we have and the freedom and those who have fought for it. So we have that today. But thanks for taking my phone call, guys. Y'all have a great weekend.
Hey, Tom, you too, and thank you for listening, and thank you for calling in. And the ranch dressing, they were telling them they had to check the ranch dressing. You couldn't like bring the bottles, because they have like huge gallon bottles of ranch salad dressing.
It was like copious amounts of ranch dressing, which I understand.
All right. I may be the only person that does this, but I have found, wow, I can't believe I'm going to open up a hornet's nest here. I have found the ranch Hidden Valley salad dressing that is already made in the bottle to be lacking. It's just, it almost is like the flavors are watered down. So I remember what my mom used to do. She used to never buy the stuff already made in the bottle. She would get the powder, the ranch dressing, the powder, and she would make her own. And it was always, the flavors were much stronger than what you got in the bottle.
Yeah, if you're lucky enough to have a mom that'll make their own ranch, that's
We
just.
don't need a mom. You can make it
I
yourself.
guess I don't know how to cook pancakes, Todd. I don't know if I could do that.
All you need to do is what? Pour it into a bowl,
Yes.
put some milk in there and
Okay.
some mayonnaise and whisk it together, and you got salad dressing.
Okay, fine. Well, I go to Huey's. So our place here in Memphis, Huey's, great burgers, but the best ranch I've ever had. You could drink that stuff if I'm being honest with you.
I'm hearing that the salad dressing could be used as a deterrent for the explosive diarrhea lettuce.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, by the way, we've had cases in Memphis now.
I don't even want to talk about it because I saw that and I wasn't even going to talk about
It's not good. It's not good. So anyway, but that's just me. You may disagree, but I think making your own ranch dressing with their powder is a lot. It has more flavor than the bottled.
It's good to know.
You ever put it on your pork chops?
No, I don't.
I
I
hear
only put
that's
it on
good, too.
chicken and fries.
Oh, speaking of nooses, I have this story out of Washington State. This is so awful. So an unhinged this is from the New York Post. Chris Nessie is the writer. This is hilarious. An unhinged Washington woman was busted for vandalizing a memorial statue for fishermen after after mistaking its mooring rope for a noose. Cara Munez, 34 years old, recorded herself haranguing city workers cleaning spray paint from the Safe Return Memorial for fishermen at a park in Bellingham, Washington. It's a bronze fisherman holding a mooring line. Munez was hysterical. She also mentioned on her Instagram she uses she, they pronouns. It's always those folks. Berated city workers cleaning the graffiti off the statue, honoring local fishermen who had died or disappeared. And I was going to send this to you, Dylan. It would have taken you 2 hours to bleep out all the bad language from this chick. She accused Bellingham of paying homage to white supremacy. She says, "We really like to protect nooses here, apparently. Isn't that interesting?" And it wasn't a noose. It was like Bubba Wallace, right? He thought, oh, it's a noose. No, sir, it's something for you to pull down it's a door thing. Come on
Yeah.
now, Bubba Wallace.
I am not surprised at all. She was offended by that.
So anyway, they called the cops, and she was adamant. She goes, this is a blanking noose, a blanking noose. That is a hate symbol by definition. So they called the cops. She would not allow the cops to pull her out of her car, so the cops had to do it for her. And she apparently spat on the officers. They had to put a hood on her because she was spitting all over the place, and you don't know what kind of diseases she may have. I mean, that's just common sense. She was booked on second-degree malicious mischief, third-degree assault, and resisting lawful arrest. Unbelievable. And she is yet to face charges for defacing the statue, which will probably be coming later. But anyway, she thought it was a noose. All right, got to take a break. 901-260-5926. This is the Todd Starnes Show. All right. Just a reminder that the Republicans have still done nothing about Obamacare. Have you noticed, and this is really a question only, I would say, folks in their 40s, 50s, and above would be able to answer, but have you noticed that our nation's medical and health system has just gotten progressively worse? And there's a reason I'm asking this question. Fox News is now reporting $27 billion in Obamacare fraud has been exposed. Take a listen to Cut 13.
One House committee estimates around $27 billion in improper payments are going to people taking advantage of this system. Now, for months, the Government Accountability Office has been investigating fraud in the Obamacare marketplace. In a new report, it found that a lack of basic safeguards allows bad actors to use fake identities, other people's social security numbers, and even dead people to receive subsidies. This investigation found as many as 160,000 people using the program legitimately had their accounts accessed and changed without their permission. The House Energy and Commerce Committee Chairman Brett Guthrie blames the previous administration and sent us a statement saying the Biden-Harris administration actively removed safeguards protecting Americans from unscrupulous actors taking advantage of them, including unauthorized enrollments and switching Obamacare plans. The Government Accountability Office says agents and brokers do play a key role in helping people get coverage, but recent prosecutions show some enrolled or switch people's plans without permission, and those victims can face unexpected costs, tax liabilities, and can lose access to their providers or their medication. Now, in that report, the GAO recommends stronger identification strategies to help prevent people from taking over legitimate accounts. The Trump administration also said last month that it's removing millions of fraudsters from the Obamacare rolls.
All right. So all that to say that it's a big mess. And I mean, if you're going out there and, my personal doctor retired and it was like, I thought I was going to have to fly to Mexico to get medical treatment. You can't find any doctors taking new patients. It's insane. It used to not be like that is what I'm trying to get at. Before Obamacare, did we have problems? Absolutely. But Obamacare just made everything worse. Now you've got Congress chick, Summer Lee. She's a member of the squad, one of AOC's friends, and she's black. And I have to mention that to you only because it plays into the audio you're about to hear. Here is a Congress chick, Summer Lee, Cut 32.
Let me just say, I have a black doctor and I sought my black doctor out. In fact, black doctors are in high demand because black patients know that culturally competent care can be the difference between care and cure or life and death. That's just what it is. Just really quickly, I don't know if some of my colleagues know some of the history of black care and mistreatment in the medical field. But for instance, gynecology procedures were developed from unanesthetized, non-consensual experiments performed on enslaved black women. Life-saving vaccines were developed using stolen cells from Henrietta Lacks, a non-consenting black woman. Modern health care was built using black bodies without our consent. And when there is even the mere suggestion that we should invest in cures for diseases disproportionately affecting black people or that there aren't enough black doctors, Republicans cry DEI and say it's unfair. They say we should only rely on so-called objective standards for medical competence. But objective according to who? You cannot standardize test your way into empathy or taking people's pain seriously or cultural competency. MCAT scores don't translate to better care for black people automatically. Having all white male doctors is just as bad for the medical profession as having all white male congressmen is to our government.
All I know is before I undergo open heart surgery, I don't want to hear the doctor say he was a DEI hire, but that's just me. Got to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, Dylan, we need some guidance from the audience here. I got an urgent note last night from the publisher. My new book coming out August the 11th, called The Golden Age: How Trump Saved America. And we've got the Kindle version you can pre-order. We got the hardcover edition. I would encourage you to get the hardcover edition. It's really good. And now they're wanting me to do the audiobook. And I have done these audiobooks before. And you would think it's pretty easy to do, right? I mean, I talk 3 hours a day. I mean, this is what I do for a living.
Professional talker.
Yes. But narrating a book, doing an audiobook is like, it's a whole other thing.
Yes. I've seen you do it, and the last time you did it, you needed that honey that like helped your
remember that?
your
Yeah.
vocal cords.
And it was kind of awkward. It was the devotion book that Michelle Cox and I co-wrote together, and so some of them were personal. You know, we both had our sort of personal anecdotes, but I was the guy reading the audiobook.
You didn't change your voice.
You can't,
Michelle's, right?
No, you can't, and you can't change. You can't even offer a caveat. If you can only say the words that are in the book. I mean, it's like they are just really anal about all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm reading along, and I'm like, chapter 3, glory to God in the highest. My husband Paul and I were in bed the other morning, and they're like, wait a second, this is.
You can't say this is. Todd Starnes, by the way.
No, right. So again, it's like you don't want to be like on TMZ or something, right? It's a devotion book, for crying out loud. So anyway, I need to know from the audience, do you think that I should do the audio recording, or should we just get somebody? And that's the whole point of the email. It's like, we really want you to record the audio version of the book. We love your voice. You wrote the book. So, they said you can go and we can hire somebody. We can hire a professional voice artist. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think I ought to do here? Should I record it, or should we find somebody else to do it?
I think you're safe to record it yourself for this one, unless you have like other people's. I mean, if you have other characters in this one, maybe not. I don't know.
I'm conflicted. I'm torn. Yeah, it's a lot of work too. And the whole point of this is, again, dropping the Newsmax show is to do less work. That's all. That's what I'm trying to figure out here. 901-260-5926, our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. We would encourage you to go and get yourself a pre-ordered copy of The Golden Age wherever you buy your books. We've been sort of directing everybody to Amazon because they're going to get those books right out to you, and we want to make sure that you absolutely get your copy, and you'll be receiving it on August 11th, which is the day the book comes out. Let's go to John in North Carolina, listening to us on the talk station. All right, John, what do you think I ought to do here, my friend?
Look, our local radio show guy at 6 to 9 has solved your problem already. Use a AI person using your voice. We wouldn't know the difference.
Here's the problem, John. We tried that just for the fun of it, and the AI can't replicate my voice. It's like Jeezaloo and Badonkadonk and all those. They don't translate well on AI.
Well, you need to teach your AI a little bit more, because he runs President Trump and everybody else over his thing. He does advertisements, but it's a woman's voice or a guy's voice with his inflections. So I know it takes a little while to train the AI. You can't take it off the shelf. You have to train it. It's like a new puppy dog. You got to walk the dog a little bit.
Okay, I don't know about this, John. I'm sort of leery. I love AI. We use ChatGPT to help. If I have a question or something, and it's really good. I've got no problem with that, no beef with that. But I don't know. I would feel weird if it was like my voice. That I don't know. I don't know, John. It's a good thought, though. I'll think about that one.
That is a thing. That really is a thing now more than ever. And actually, I only need maybe, and I could do this, but you probably wouldn't want me to. I can only take like a 30-second clip of you, and it could narrate the whole book.
No, it
in your
could
voice.
not.
Yep.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
I just don't know how I feel about that.
It is a little weird because it's like it's you, but it's not you at the same time.
Hold on. I'm getting a chapter. So this is the problem because if you've read my books, you know I have a quirky writing style. And where is, oh my goodness, hold on. Oh, here's the chapter. Chapter 16, Jimmy Lee Ledbetter's dating a rhubarb. I just don't know if I want my AI voice to do something like that.
True. Yeah. It might mispronounce something because you like your words. Jeezaloo might be a tough one.
Oh, I actually remember the segment we did on me becoming a life coach for the Gals of Girth?
Yes, of
that
course.
made the book.
Yeah.
That made the book. It's a chapter.
Nice.
It's great. So anyway, let's go to TC in Georgia, listening to us on WDUN. Hi, TC. What's your guidance? What's your advice?
Well, I mean, if they're not going to let you narrate it as you would, that might take away from the book. If they'd let you narrate it the way you would read it, they're going to edit it anyways. But if they're not going to let you do that, you should absolutely let somebody else do it and let them go through the rigmarole. It'll be stressful on you, and you might not like the product you turn out because they're making you be somebody other than yourself.
Well, they told me how, I can pretty much do whatever I want to do, but you have to read the book as it is written. So, I can do voice inflection. And really, when you read one of my books, TC, you sort of hear me. When you're reading the words, you're sort of hearing my voice. And that's kind of the way I write. So maybe it makes sense that I sit down and do the narration. But, man, this is a long book.
I personally would like you to do the narration, and I
Okay.
think you should. But I don't like the idea of somebody taking away from your product because they want you to do it a certain way. I mean, I don't like that at all, but I wouldn't dare tell you what to do. That was just my opinion on it.
No, it's great. We've got, for example, we've got a chapter, The Beverly Hillbillies Are a Threat to Democracy. That's chapter 17, by the way. Or, Sorry, Jimmy Olsen, Superman's cape doesn't swing that way. That's a fun chapter, actually.
I'm going to have to read it just because you said something about the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, that's a great chapter.
Oh, yes, and that was a great show.
It was. It really was. So, all right. Well, thank you. TC, thank you for the guidance there. Yeah, it was, you know what we're going to do, Dylan? Sometime before August 11th, I'm going to read a chapter out of the book on air, and maybe that'll be the test.
You totally should.
That'll
and
be
I
the
may or may
test.
not clip your voice.
All
I'll
right.
show you.
So we're going to be doing something, and my publisher in this email, and I wanted to share this with you. We had some chapters we could not put in the book. Otherwise, we could have done a 400-page book, and there's just a lot of content. So here's what we're going to do. If you can, you're going to have to, if you order the book through Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and if you do that before August 11th, you're going to get a free unincluded chapter of the book. So this is an exclusive thing for the Todd Stearns Radio Show audience. All right. So here's the deal. You will have to provide, and we'll work out all the details, but you'll have to provide a proof that you pre-ordered on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Books A Million, wherever you bought your book. And if you pre-ordered, we're going to send you a free unincluded chapter. That will be exclusive. It was not included in the book, and that's just a very special thing that my publisher is doing, the folks over at Humanix. So you can pre-order at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and if you do before August 11th, you're going to receive a free unincluded chapter, unpublished chapter of The Golden Age, How Trump Saved America. That's a pretty good deal right there, I just have to say. All right, 901-260-5926 is our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. Got to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Todd Stearns Radio Show. So Vice President J.D. Vance stirring up a lot of people in the conservative Christian world, and especially among people who support the nation of Israel. The vice president on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he's really making some waves here. I want you to listen to cut number 30.
You see Mike Pence, who's sort of a super hawk, my predecessor, who say this. There are people, who are super hawkish in the American system who have attacked the deal and frankly, in some ways have tried to derail the deal. And what I always say to those people is, what is your proposal? What is your actual argument? So just take the Strait of Hormuz, like the narrowest, but in some ways the most important part of this back and forth right now. Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway. To the extent you shut it down, you shut down 25% of the world's energy supply. Okay? Joe, you could take $100,000 and go buy a bunch of drones on the black market and post yourself on an island in the Strait of Hormuz or near it, and you could fire drones at those ships. Okay? Now, what does that mean? Some oil and gas is still going to get out because some ships and some ship captains are going to say, screw you. Now, the United States can help that, right? We can shoot down some of those drones. We can shoot down some of those missiles. And so we can facilitate the flow of traffic. But the people who are like, you cannot negotiate with the Iranians, the reason why that's fundamentally idiotic is because so long as you have some person who's willing to fire off a few cheap drones, you're going to have some ship captains who say, no, we're not willing to do this. So we got to kind of use all tools at our disposal. The military is one tool, but diplomacy is another tool. And I'm very frustrated by the Americans and frankly by people in other countries who are like, you cannot negotiate with the Iranians. Well, then what is your proposal to get people to stop shooting at ships in the Strait of Hormuz? You can bomb them. You can take away their radar. You can take away some of their drones and some of their missiles, but it's just too easy to fire at ships in the straits. So you've got to actually be willing to talk and to try to figure out the problem.
So my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, do you believe this is working? The vice president put together, he was the face of the Memorandum of Understanding. And he believes, based on what he said, he believes that you can trust the Iranians. I don't trust the Iranians. I don't think they've proven themselves to be trustworthy. But again, you have to go back and you have to ask yourself, okay, wait a second, why did we start this? Why did we start the war in the first place? What's going on? What was the original goal? And the original goal was to blow up their nuclear program so they couldn't make nuclear missiles, nuclear weapons. But now it's all about the Strait of Hormuz and regime change, or what? It's just all over the place now. And the administration has got to get a handle on the messaging over what we're actually doing out there. Oh, by the way, Marco Rubio earlier today, the Secretary of State, like this guy, he's giving a speech condemning far-left terrorism today, cut 34.
More than 80% of radical violence is now driven by far-left and anarchist actors. These are not abstract statistics. Americans have seen what those numbers mean. An all-out assault on our immigration officers, sniper attacks, explosives, armed ambushes, a transgender shooter opening fire on Catholic elementary school students as they pray, his gun marked with slogans like, "Where is your God now?" A healthcare executive executed in cold blood in the streets. Multiple assassination attempts on a sitting president, and the murder of the greatest conservative activist of a generation, a man who happened to also be a husband and the father of 2 young children, shot and killed while speaking to a crowd of students. This is a distinctive and unique evil. It has always been driven by a hatred, above all else, a hatred for civilization itself. It is a revolt of the worst against the best, a revolt of the weak and the cowardly against the strong and the good. It is perpetrated by those who cannot build, who cannot create, who cannot achieve great things, and take their revenge upon the world for their own inadequacy by seeking to destroy those who can. This is what radical leftism is. It may wear various different slogans and ideologies across place and time. They can call themselves anti-capitalist or anti-imperialist or communist or anarchist or Marxist, but the fundamental character is always the same. It's always the same. It is a poisonous resentment cloaked in the language of equality and justice and liberation, an overwhelming need to tear down what greater men have built, to wreck what is beautiful and what is right on behalf of people who are only filled with ugliness and have nothing else to offer the world. Through violence and through terror, they once again seek to impose their ugliness on all of us.
Great speech, and we've got some more. We'll play that in the next hour of the program. I've noticed, and Dylan, I don't know if you've seen this in your Instagram feeds, your social media feeds, people are posting photos at snake season, right? So all the snakes are coming out and doing all whatever their snakes are doing. And people are like taking these photographs. It's just like the bison. They're getting up in the space of the snake to take a photograph. And then they post it and ask if it's like safe to be okay or safe to touch the snake.
That's got to be the dumbest thing that I've ever heard.
It's never okay to touch a snake. I don't care what kind of they are.
There are venomous snakes. There are non-venomous snakes, but I don't want to be close enough to ever know which one it is.
Absolutely not. And, you know, some of them around here, what is it, the water moccasins?
Oh, yeah.
They'll chase you.
They will chase you.
Yeah, that's not good.
Don't get in the water either.
Nope. This headline from Fox. A tourist died at a luxury resort after a cobra climbed up his pants and bit him. The German tourist died after the venomous cobra featured in a snake show apparently slithered up the guy's pants and bit him on the leg. The freak accident happened at a luxury resort in Egypt. This is according to the Bavarian press. This is terrible. During the snake charmer's performance, one of the snakes crawled into the trousers of the 57-year-old man. He was on vacation with two family members. Authorities said the snake charmer event was part of a hotel entertainment program. Two snakes were used in the show. Could you imagine? I mean, you're just so focused. I guess nobody saw the other snake just sort of slither away.
One snake's already enough for me. Why is there multiple snakes there?
Unbelievable. You know, that's the big fear, is not that a snake would crawl up your pants, but God forbid they come up through the drainage systems and the commodes.
Don't even say that, because that's going to happen now. I'm going to have a nightmare tonight about that.
People have actually been bitten.
I know.
Because of a snake just came right up the toilet.
It's terrible.
I mean, there was a story I did many years ago where a squirrel, some guy sat down, and all of a sudden he felt something scratching at his buttocks, and he looked down, and there was a squirrel. I'll have to tell the rest of that story. This has a very tragic ending after the break. Hang tight, everybody. Hour 3 of The Big Show coming up next. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Todd Starnes Radio Show. Great to have you with us. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, making an announcement this week. They are now going to start screening all troops for low testosterone. This coming from the New York Slimes. The War Secretary announcing on Wednesday a new mandatory screening program to test all service members ages 30 and older, including women, for testosterone deficiency. Hormone treatment for troops with low testosterone will be voluntary. Hegseth, in a video from his Pentagon office, said, "Our most decisive tactical advantage will always be the individual warfighter. We have a sacred duty to maintain that advantage." He went on to say that in a social media post that the goal was a high-T Department of War. Mr. Hegseth focuses his focus on testosterone levels at a moment when U.S. forces are ramping up attacks in Iran is what they called unorthodox. Defense secretaries typically focus on larger strategic questions involving alliances, war, and weapons production. Hegseth has not shied away from getting involved in the minutia of service members' lives, such as mandating new grooming standards for troops who, because of skin conditions, had previously been permitted to grow beards. No more beardos, he proclaimed. Troops under 30 can volunteer to be screened, and anyone with low hormone levels will have the option to receive testosterone replacement therapy. Hegseth says, quote, "It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capability." He said the aim is to better prepare service members for a modern battlefield that he described as brutal and unrelenting. A clinically low level of testosterone in men can cause muscle loss, fatigue, obesity, and sexual dysfunction, and is linked to other serious health problems, including osteoporosis, depression, and diabetes. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I see nothing wrong with this, actually. Seems to me that you would want a high-T military. No, Dylan, I don't know if they're testing the WNBA. I don't know. We'll work on that. We'll reach out to their media.
Are they going
people.
to war?
With Caitlin Clark, they are.
Yeah, they are.
901-260-5926, our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. What do you think about the War Secretary and his efforts to make the military manly again? Interesting. Want to play some audio here. This is from a hearing yesterday, and it's really fascinating what's been going on in really across the nation, but especially in Washington, D.C. This is Senator Eric Schmitt from Missouri, and he's questioning Liz Oyer, who is a key witness in the Senate Judiciary hearing for Todd Blanche, who is the nominee to be the new Attorney General. I want you to listen to Cut 36, please.
Ms. Oyer, I want to turn to you. You were Biden's pardon attorney, and I want to make sure I'm clear. Your testimony here today is that you were fired because you wouldn't recommend restoring Mel Gibson's gun rights. Is that right?
I was fired just hours after I declined to make that
Okay, you can't think of another reason why you might have been fired.
That's the only explanation that I'm aware of. The Justice Department actually put in a pleading that was submitted in my appeal of my firing, the fact that the facts of my firing are not in dispute.
On November, and you talked about you're concerned about public safety. On November 4th, 2024, you authored a 73-page memorandum recommending the commutation of all 40 federal death sentences. Isn't that correct?
Well, as I've told to
I know,
now,
but don't play the game with me, because it's not. They've waived executive privilege. I have the report right here. It's dated April 24th, 2026. It's actually, your memo is quoted in here. It's public knowledge. And the idea that you would come here, you know that already. You would come here and disparage somebody else and not be willing to answer questions about how you commuted the sentences of murderers is ridiculous. I can't believe that you're here to do that.
Don't have the authority to commute.
Do you deny
sentence.
it? Do you deny that you authored the memo?
I'm not sure which memo you're referring to.
I'm referring to the November 4th, 2024 73-page memo. Do you deny authoring it?
I can't say without having
It's ridiculous.
The memo
Honestly, I can't believe you did. You did, and everybody in America and in the world can pull it up. So it's a ridiculous.
Like a
Do you
that
also?
looks like a document that has DOJ's logo on the cover.
Yeah, and it quotes your letter. It quotes your letter.
I don't know.
You're losing credit. You should just admit it. You should just admit you authored it. Everybody knows you authored it. So I'm not going to waste any more time on your convenient little game you're playing here. You also authored and recommended the commutation of the Boston Marathon bomber, the Tree of Life synagogue murderer, and Dylan Roof. We all know this. How many pages of the 73 pages did you dedicate to victims? Because you expressed your concern over victims. How many pages were dedicated to the victims?
Sir, I don't have the memo.
I can tell you 3.
In front of me.
3 pages. 3 pages were dedicated to the victims. So I also happen to have, I made a special access request last year under the Presidential Records Act for documents from the Biden White House on the abuse of pardons and commutations. We recently got those documents. I want to show you a couple. Here's one. It's dated December 3rd, 2024, and it's an internal memo on the commutation of the 37 death sentences that you were involved with. The memorandum states that the White House worked with reporters to, quote, ensure positive coverage. It says the White House gave advocates, the elected officials, resources and key messaging to amplify the news. You personally recommended commuting all 40 death sentence cases, an even broader action than Biden took. Again, that included Dylan Roof, the Boston Marathon bomber, the Tree of Life synagogue shooter. Did you know that the White House was using your recommendations as a PR stunt?
Sir, I have no idea what document you're referring to currently.
Well, let me just ask you in general, did you know that they were planning to message around your commutation?
Sir, I was not an employee of the White House.
Okay, I'll take that as a no. I'll take that as a no, but they used your ridiculous recommendation as a veneer of legitimacy. Document 2.
I was called here to talk about Mr. Blanche's nomination.
Yeah, I know that's what you thought you came here to talk about. But the reality is your credibility is gone. You can't come here and do the political bidding of the Biden administration. And then when you're called out on that and being fired, and thank God you're being fired. You know what I really think? I think you thought you came here and you're selling merch, by the way. Do we have the hoodies that are up for sale? You sell merch. Let's show the hoodies. I think you came here thinking that you were going to be ordained the high priestess of the resistance. That's what I think. That's why you're denying simple facts that you authored the memo commuting the sentences. Everyone knows that. And we have documents now from the White House that they use that memo as a PR stunt. And so the idea, you have no credibility to talk about Todd Blanche. You have none. You've come here, you deny basic facts, you recommended the commutation of murderers. You gave no quarter at all or any time to the victims of these brutal murders. So again, I can't believe you've been called here by the other side, but I'm glad we've had an opportunity to expose your hypocrisy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. It's shocking. But again, the star witness in this hearing literally pushed for clemency for rapists, child molesters, and murderers. A piece by M.D. Kettle at The Federalist. This is insanity, ladies and gentlemen. But again, it goes back to a central truth about Joe Biden and the previous administration, that they were pro-criminal and not pro-victim here. I mean, that's what this is all about. 901-260-5926, White House press briefing underway. Caroline Leavitt is back behind the microphone after being out on maternity leave, and she is now confirming the president tonight will be talking about election integrity. And it's interesting, Caitlin Collins over at CNN said this regarding the president's speech tonight. He's been in office over 540 days now. If what he says tonight is backed up by evidence, why hasn't anyone been charged? May I just say, It's a terrific question. I mean, this is an excellent question. Caroline Levitt said in response, he has not revealed it yet. He hasn't declassified the documents yet, and you will see what he says tonight, and then we'll move forward appropriately from there. So we'll have to see how all of this plays out. But again, these are fair questions. Again, why hasn't anyone been charged if we have all of this evidence? All right, got to take a break here. 901-260-5926. That is our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. This is the Todd Starnes Show. All right, tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, we'll be doing live coverage on ToddStarnes.com of the president's speech. I want to encourage you to go and check that out, and you can actually watch the president's remarks on my website, ToddStarnes.com. All right, let's go to the phones here, 901-260-5926, Germantown, Tennessee. Tom, listening to us on KWAM. Hi, Tom, what's on your mind today?
Oh, yes. Thanks for taking my call. I don't know why people have such a hard time believing that there's voter fraud in a place like Metro Atlanta. And I've actually had some leftists ask me, well, just, explain to me how there is voting fraud. Well, it's pretty easy. You got little Miss Jackson. She comes rolling in the door. She votes for herself. She didn't need an ID. She leaves the voting place. She comes back an hour later. She votes for her dead mother. Mother's been dead for 10 years. She walks in there and votes for her, votes Democrat. And people say, how can Atlanta swing a red state like Georgia? Well, Atlanta can't swing a red state like Georgia, but it can if enough people are cheating, and they have. And that's how Ossoff got elected. That's how Warnock got elected. And hopefully we can change this, because everybody who's reasonable knows Georgia is not a blue state.
No, it's really actually not a blue state. I think one of the challenges there, and you had the White House coming out and discouraging people from getting out and voting. That had an impact. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But Tom, if you look at, for example, Tennessee, where you do have to show a form of identification, and Tennessee has very, very little issues with voter fraud.
Absolutely, and thank God, right? Because I've seen 11 presidents in my lifetime. I know I can remember seeing at least 10 elections. Out of all the elections I have ever seen, I never questioned one until the election of 2020. I don't know what went wrong, what went down, what went cheated, what went sideways, but there was something truly wrong with that election.
Well, yes, no, 1,000% accurate there. I agree with you. Something was not right. And look, I think by this point, we should already have people arrested. Charges should have been filed. And, people should be held accountable for the fraud. And I do believe that the election was stolen. Now, you watch the news coverage, and Tom, tonight. You watch the news coverage on the conservative channels, and you see how many conservative cable news stations are going to be offering caveats to protect themselves, like so-and-so can't confirm beyond a shadow of a doubt that the election was stolen. You watch the language tonight the conservative cable channels are going to be using.
Absolutely. And, I would like to tell people we've got a wonderful chance here. Conservatives right now in America, we own the majority of governorships. We own a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. We have control of the House, control of the Senate, and control of the presidency. And we would be absolute fools not to use it as hard as we can right now. And if we somehow manage to hold on to the House and Senate, and I believe we will with this president, he has flat out learned how to campaign. I think we need to use these next 2 years to stomp this trans issue into the ground, into pieces, and then put it in the dustbin of history.
Well, it's a 90-10, well, technically it's an 80-20 issue. I still think it's a 90-10 issue. The majority of the American people, including Democrats, strongly oppose all of this transgender pronoun nonsense. And I think you're right, Tom. We've got to use our time. The clock is ticking. We've got a lot of work to do to save the republic. And I hope we're going to be able to get a lot accomplished. But the Congress is going to have to work with the president on this. Tom, thank you for that call, and thank you for listening. Let's go to Chuck in Memphis, Tennessee, listening to us on KWAM. Hi, Chuck. What's on your mind?
Hi, I'll be quick. When President Obama ran for president, he was like a vote magnet. He was a phenomenon. I don't know that anybody could have beat that man. All right. These people now want us to believe that Joe Biden got 12 to 14 more million votes than he did. Now just think about that, and that's my only comment. That either election that Joe Biden supposedly got 12 million more votes than a rock star Barack Hussein Obama, and anybody out here with a brain knows better than that.
So, Chuck, you saw this coming a mile away.
Yeah. I mean, common sense. All you got to do is have your eyes open and just be able to think.
No, look, I'm with you. Clearly, the fix was in. How it happened is what we need to know, and maybe the president's going to lend us or give us some information about that tonight. Going back to Georgia, though, I will say one of the big problems in Georgia is the fact that so many illegals were moved into the state. So many immigrants were moved into the state of Georgia. It literally changes the flavor of the state, and we're seeing this happen in other states as well. And all you folks in Tennessee, you better wake up because it's happening in Tennessee as well. Chuck, thank you for the call. Thank you for listening to KWAM. 901-260-5926 is our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. Coming up, we're going to talk to our good friend Kyle Campbell, talking politics, get her take on what the president's going to say tonight. Also, be sure to check out ToddStearns.com. Download our free app. God forbid your radio station stops playing this program, you'll still be able to listen to us no matter where you are in America. All you have to do is download our free app, and you'll be able to listen to the Todd Starnes Show as well as 24 hours of conservative conversation, news, and talk exclusively on the Todd Starnes Show app. All right, hang tight, everybody. Got to take a quick break, pay some bills. In the meantime, head over to ToddStearns.com and check out that story. We told you about the Canadian woman who attacked an American teenager because she was wearing Trump attire. We have the story. We have the video at ToddStearns.com. We'll be right back, everybody. All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Todd Stearns Radio Show. Great to have you with us. Want to go right away to the Patriot Mobile Newsmaker line. Say hello to our good friend Kyle Campbell, host of the Politically Basic podcast. Kyle, is this true? Did I hear a rumor that you're literally out of the country right now?
Who busted me, Todd? I'm trying to just have a couple days of summer vacation here. So, yep, quick trip down south of the border.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, but why in the world are you hanging out with us then? You ought to be on vacation, for goodness sakes.
Oh, I just love you with my whole heart. I always love coming on the show. And I can't stop talking about all of these political events that keep happening. We get a million a day, and it's always fun for me.
Well, no doubt a lot of news happening in Washington. Caroline Leavitt back from maternity leave, holding the press briefing, and there was a lot of questions about tonight's speech by the president, 9 o'clock Eastern, and folks will be carrying that live on toddstearns.com. Kyle, what do you expect the president's going to be talking about tonight?
Well, I do think that he's right to continue these types of, almost rally speeches that he's been doing throughout the year as the midterms approach. And so I think we're going to hear again more affordability crisis, what he's going to do about that. But the rumor is he wants to talk about election integrity. And we are cruising toward this midterm, and they haven't passed the SAVE Act. And of course, with Lindsey Graham passing, a co-sponsor of that legislation and a strong proponent, he has limited time to get this thing done. And I think this is all going to be an effort again of trying to push that forward, help remind Americans why we want to get this done, and turn up the heat a little bit on these members of the Senate to get that over the finish line finally.
Again, I think people, I think we've heard so many speeches. And so I think tonight, whatever the president says, it's really going to have to be different. Are we taking action? Are people being arrested? Were crimes committed? Will there be justice here? Because ultimately, you can't go back and undo 2020. But if people broke the law and if there was election fraud, then those people need to be held accountable.
Well, also look at what else is happening around, the looking into 2020 still. There was a Senate hearing on fraud in general. Nick Shirley, James O'Keefe were giving testimony. No Democrats showed up for that when it's mostly happening in their states under their own leadership jurisdiction. And so again, this divide just continues to grow, doesn't it, Todd? I mean, look at the priorities of this DSA, right? They want to dismantle our constitutional republic. Democrats don't seem to care that taxpayers are being defrauded left, right, and center. They want to take our whole system of operation here in the United States and flip it on its head. And we know that this midterm election matters so tremendously in terms of what kind of future we have here in the United States. So I think he's really going to drive home these points. It's now or never for the future of the United States. We've got to secure our elections, or else we may have lost her forever. So I do think it's going to be impassioned and strong as only Donald Trump can do. I'm really looking forward to watching from down here in Mexico and see what the response is from folks down here too. It'll be fun.
It's going to be wild. 9 o'clock Eastern, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump addressing the nation. Kyle, while all that is going on, there is just so much ugliness within the Republican Party over Israel. And I know a lot of evangelical Christians are coming under attack. There have been calls for Mike Huckabee to be removed as ambassador. Salem Radio, which handles sales for my podcast, has come under fire, accused of being some sort of a mouthpiece or a voice for the nation of Israel. And I can just tell you and our audience flat out, we don't get any talking points. We're not being told who to support, who not to support. So I'm not sure why all the hullabaloo there. But I think it's interesting that it seems as though a lot of this is coming from actually within the administration and some of their supporters.
Well, it's a real shame. And people who are believers in this country, as many people are, people of faith, and the Christian religion speaks to how Israel and God's people will be attacked for all time until Jesus returns to come get us off his green earth. But a lot of this, it's disappointing, Todd, but it's nonsense. It's anti-Semitic, it's religious persecution, and people are grabbing hold of an opportunity really to attack people of faith. I hate seeing it, but I also want to just really clarify. I stick to basics, and I always am trying to help people understand political concepts. Our relationship with Israel is not perfect. It has never been perfect. It will always be challenging. They're Israel first, we're America first, but we rely on them and we should be allies and continue supporting them. That 8 billion we send them a year, it's a drop in the bucket. It's what a CPA would call a rounding error when we're looking at the finances of the greatest and largest economy on earth. We need them, they need us, but they have their own priorities over there, and they're going to continue, especially while we sort things out in Iran. They sort things out in Lebanon. We all have our own interests on a priority list that's different. So knock it off, people. That's what I say. We need to stop the hate. We need to stop calls for people to be harmed. The assassination attempts are awful. Stop trying to defund or cancel people because of this association. I think it's ridiculous, and I hate seeing it. I'd love to see it stop.
Kyle Campbell joining us on our Patriot Mobile Newsmaker line today, host of the Politically Basic podcast. Encourage you to download the podcast and become a fan. You will become a fan very quickly. Kyle, you mentioned Iran, and this has got to be a great source of frustration for the administration. It was only supposed to be 4 to 5 weeks, and here we are months later, no end in sight. The memorandum of understanding, I think it's been taken out by one of the Iranian drones. How do you see this playing out, and do you think it's really going to have an impact on voters in November?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think on the heels of how quickly, within 24 hours, the Venezuela situation was taken care of, there was sort of an expectation set that Donald Trump can go in and resolve these international conflicts, terrorist organizations being taken down with a snap of his fingers. So I do think the messaging was off there from the administration. They should have set a more realistic understanding for the American public that, look, this is a regime that they're like cockroaches trying to survive a nuclear holocaust. They're going to find the next rock to go crawl under. That will continue. They're going to make agreements, sign MOUs, agree to ceasefires, and then look straight on up to Israel and say, well, they did X, Y, and Z, and so we're going to break it. They're not going to let go of control, any control, militaristically, in the strait of their finances, their economy, over their people, for anything, for love or money, until the last one of those cockroaches is taken out one way or another. So yes, this will continue. I do think, unfortunately, we here at home have a difficult time understanding their culture and how this is going to go. But I have good faith and trust in Donald Trump, in Marco Rubio, in Pete Hegseth. This team is remarkable, and they're getting a lot accomplished. And so I do think it will wrap up one way or another. We've just got to keep exercising that patience and have trust in them that they know what they're doing.
All right. Great stuff. As always, Kyle, we're going to let you get back to vacation. We appreciate you joining us. That is dedication right there. And we look forward to talking to you when you get back in the States again.
Thank you, sir. I love being with you. Thanks for having me on, and I'll see you soon.
All right. The great Kyle Campbell, everybody, on vacay and phoning in. So we really appreciate the great work that Kyle does. 901-260-5926 is our telephone number. That's 901-260-5926. Let's go to Tallahassee, Florida. Nate is on the line. Hi, Nate. What's going on?
Hey, Todd. Thanks again for having me. I wanted to ask you, or rather say, regarding your earlier statement about J.D. Vance, I completely disagree with J.D. on the fact that Iran can be trusted. They have proven multiple times they cannot be trusted. And I think, honestly, we just need to end this. Like General MacArthur said during the Korean War, there is no substitute for victory. We need to beat them till they surrender. End of discussion.
Nate, again, I was stunned when I heard the vice president say that, because the Iranians have yet to demonstrate that they can be trusted. How many times have we given them a do-over?
I don't even know at this point, but I think ultimately it's just the fact that they've proven they can't be trusted. It is within that culture and within that regime that they cannot be trusted. They have a fundamental hate for America. They have a fundamental hate for our allies. And at this point, when are we going to say enough is enough? We're going to take you out, and we will not accept anything but an unconditional surrender.
Here's the challenge I think the administration is facing, Nate. I'm not sure we know what victory actually looks like here. I mean, are we really going to, as I think one Republican congressman said earlier today, are we really going to wipe Iran off the face of the earth? I don't think Trump's going to go that far.
I don't think he'd go that far either, and I'm not saying we wipe them off the face of the earth. We just hit them enough to the point where they finally surrender. I mean, look at Japan, for example, in World War II. It wasn't just the 2 atomic bombs that forced them to surrender. I believe it was a senior higher up in their military said the bombing of Tokyo is also what helped them lead to surrender, because they got to a point where they couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And they ultimately surrendered.
Well, that's a fair point. Let's see how this plays out. But right now, I don't think Iran is ready to wave that white flag. Nate, thank you for that call. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Scott, what's on your mind, Scott?
Hi. I was just wondering, how do you think we could possibly win something that has been an ongoing war since the times the Bible was written? I totally agree with what Trump's doing, and I love your show. My mom listens to it from Georgia. Just trying to figure out, what do you think our best chances are?
Well, look, this is a great question you're raising, Scott, and it's also a reminder. This is really not a political war we're fighting. I mean, this is a religious war, and one that has been waged for centuries. So I think the White House is going to have to figure this out. What is it going to take to convincingly declare a victory in Iran? Because keep in mind, Scott, early on they told us that they had completely decimated all of Iran's defense capabilities, and clearly that is not the case. So they've been using this downtime to replenish their weapon systems. They may be getting help from other foreign countries. Would not be surprised by that. The issue that the administration is going to have is, how do we get out of here short of nuking Iran? I mean, that's really what they've got to figure out.
And we're going back to, like, Japan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, at the level of bombings that we have been conducting thus far, and it still has not caused Iran to surrender. So what is it going to take, and is the administration willing to go to that next step?
I guess we'll see, right?
Indeed. Scott, tell your mom in Georgia I said hello, and thank you for listening today. We really appreciate that. Let's go to Little Rock, Arkansas. Arkansas, by the way, one of the top religious liberty states in America. That announcement was made yesterday. Steve, what's going on?
Hey, Todd. A little bit about election integrity. I just want to point out that every phase, I mean, voter ID is big and everything, but every phase of our election system is built and designed to be corrupted. From the time somebody registers to vote to the way they allow candidates to collect money off of it and make money off of it, up to vetting legal voters, up to counting the vote, every phase of it is designed to be corrupted. And it was designed by the people we're expecting to fix it. We're kind of like letting the fox guard the hen house. I don't know what the answer is totally, or what the entity should go in there and say this isn't right, but it's we've got to have this fixed. All the American people have to express, to have any leverage over our government. We've got three things. We've got our vote, our dollars, and our guns. Well, they're taking our vote. They've almost taken our vote. They're steadily taking away our dollars where they don't mean as much, and we won't use them like we should. And they're after our guns. I mean, when are we going to wake up and say, that's all we got left.
Look, I think we are heading to that point. Are we there yet? No, but we're getting close. And you're right, Steve. If we do not get voting integrity in place and locked in, we're going to lose the republic. I mean, it really is that simple. Steve, I've got to run. Appreciate you calling in. 901-260-5926. That's 901-260-5926. This is the Todd Starnes Show. All right, let's go right back to the phones. Statesville, North Carolina. Bob is listening to us on WSIC. Hi, Bob. What's going on?
Oh, I just got a couple questions here. I wonder how Mr. Kerry feels that delivered the money for Mr. Obama, since his daughter's married to one of our Iranians over there. I wonder if she's here or over there.
Well, that's a great question, Bob.
I just wondered, since we financed part of this deal, and he was 100% behind it and has vested interest, I wonder how he stands.
Pallets of cash. Remember that story, Bob? Back in the day, we sent him pallets of cash.
Yeah, Mr. Kerry made sure it got there.
He certainly did. He certainly did. Yeah, Bob, that's a fair point. And again, we've got to just figure out a way out of this. Otherwise, we're going to be over there fighting this war for a very long time.
Bring it on.
All right, Bob, thank you for that. Wow, again, don't forget 9 o'clock tonight, and you're going to be able to watch the address. I'll be providing live commentary in our comment section, so you're going to want to be a part of that. We'll have a great time. Maybe you guys in the lulls want to talk about other things. We're going to be happy to do that. Again, online tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, over at ToddStarnes.com. Also, just a reminder, if you pre-order a copy of The Golden Age before August 11th, if you pre-order a copy on Amazon or wherever, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, we're going to send you one of the unpublished chapters of the book. It's an exclusive just for our radio audience. So this is the only place we're doing that. Now, as soon as you make your purchase, you need to give us a call, and we'll get all of your information, and we'll make sure that you get that unpublished chapter of The Golden Age, How Trump Saved America. By the way, our number, 901-260-5926. That's 901-260-5926. So just give us a call as soon as you make that purchase, and we'll make sure to send you the unpublished chapter from the book, The Golden Age, How Trump Saved America. And I'm excited for you to read this book. All right, that's going to do it from all of us here, folks. Again, the website, ToddStarnes.com. Be sure to download our podcast. It's absolutely free of charge. Download our app as well. This is for all of you radio listeners. Be sure to download the app so you'll be able to listen to the Todd Starnes Show wherever you live across America. Gotta leave it there, everybody. It's been a great day. Get out there, stay cool, drink some iced tea, crank up that AC too. Be good, America.